It's time for Criminal Law 101.
With criminal defense attorney Ken Ulo from the law firm of Smith & Ulo.
On 101.1 WJRR.
Ken is back from vacation. You have a good trip, buddy?
I had a wonderful trip. Thanks, guys. How you guys doing?
Doing awesome. Your partner there, Matt, did a great job last week.
I listened to it, and I was very impressed. He did awesome.
He did fine.
He came in and handled it just like you. I was like, right on.
All right, 22526, if you have criminal law-related questions, I will say we have covered the clemency thing left to right. If you're looking for that, I don't know what else we can say on that. Getting your gun rights back as a felon, we've covered that every single week, so I don't think we need to go through those again. But if you have something else that you want to ask, run by Ken, please feel free. 22526.
Something else criminal law-wise.
Yes. Couple stories in the news here, especially one today. If you recall, 20 plus years ago, the Deltona Xbox Murders.
I'll never forget it. We were on the air back then. Just a disgusting incident.
Victorino and Hunter, the two convicted of the baseball bat beating deaths of
6 people, was it?
A bunch of people beaten to death, 6 young folks beaten to death. They were found guilty and originally sentenced to death here in Florida. Then the law changed where the jury had to be unanimous decision. Then it changed back to a super majority. So they're being resentenced today, Ken, at 9 o'clock. The jury in the resentencing came back with a recommendation of the death penalty. Now, so my question to you, most of the times when a judge asks for the jury's feedback on sentencing, do the judges usually abide by that, or do they waver? I'm curious to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, the sentencing, I mean, that's the one part of sentencing that's really not the judge, is whenever somebody is sentenced to death, that's going to be on the jury.
But the judge could go away from that if he wants, because he's sentencing them today after getting the jury's recommendation a few weeks ago.
When you have these old cases, you kind of have to look back at how the statute was back then. I mean, my understanding of the current law right now is if they're voting for death, it's death. Right?
Okay, all right.
But I'd have to go back and look at what the sentencing statute looked back 20 years ago.
Okay, all right. Just curious, because that's going to be interesting. That proceeding 9 o'clock. This morning it's scheduled to get started.
I hope they fry those guys. They're going to bring all that seriously. I remember that like it was yesterday, and it's scary stuff.
I did see, speaking of death penalty, is it South Carolina where they have 3 different options now if you're being executed? You can lethal injection, you can be firing squad, or electric chair. And another guy's death warrant got signed. He picked the firing squad.
I actually like that idea, right? You can choose which method you want. I mean, that's interesting.
Variety is the spice of death.
Yeah. Pat, we got second for some of the listeners' questions?
Absolutely. What do we got?
Good morning. Question for the attorney. I know he does criminal, but wanted to see if he had any idea what happens when your paycheck isn't big enough to take care of your child support. I work in sales, and I had a horrible month. I won't be receiving a commission check at all. Therefore, there's nothing that he can do automatically, or nothing for them to pull from. It's the first time it's ever happened, and he or she's freaking out.
Family law is the one area where I just, I wish I could provide some sort of clarity on that. I mean, family law is just not my
Ken's
thing.
a criminal defense attorney.
But you do know somebody to direct him to.
Yeah, I mean, we have people that we could definitely recommend to. My suggestion is if I don't think that any court, my experience from the criminal justice system and just courts in general is I think they kind of look at good faith, right? Like, I mean, as long as you're doing absolutely everything in your power to abide by the court order and the requirements.
He's indicated that he's been making his payments.
Yeah, I don't see in his situation. I mean, and again, I'm not a family law attorney, but I would suggest that as long as he's doing everything he can, that I just don't see him being penalized for that in like a really like punitive way. But obviously, he should reach out to somebody that does specifically family law. Mm-hmm. We have a person who does a little bit of counsel work for our firm. His name is Scott Messenger. So if he wants to reach out to our firm, we can give him some advice on that.
All right. It's cool. Smith & Ulo.
Smith & Ulo. EULO.com. Law question. It's long. I'll shorten it up. There's someone I know that was in a motorcycle accident during Biketoberfest. He ended up leaving Main Street drunk, crashed his bike, ended up losing his life. What I want to know is there was a social media influencer, one of them, filming him leaving drunk and didn't bother stopping him. Is there any legal way for charges to be brought on that individual just for doing the video and then posting the video instead of helping?
No, I mean, we don't, as a society, have, a criminal liability if we watch somebody do something criminal, right? You're only going to get criminal liability when you're assisting somebody commit. I mean, like if, for example, in that case, if he was helping him, like here are your keys and let's get you in the car. And,
yeah, right. Just he was completely irresponsible.
Right, but I mean, just simply sitting there and watching somebody commit a criminal act is not a criminal act by itself. So there's no liability there.
You kind of opened the door up, though, for something I wanted to ask about bigger picture here related to social media, especially because this is a whole new area that is getting interwoven into the law. We're big advocates of free speech. Don't get us wrong, but we say over and over, yeah, you can go ahead and post and say pretty much whatever the hell you want, but that doesn't mean there won't be repercussions. We got another prime example of this. Last week, this guy in Minnesota essentially put up $45,000 bounty on the Attorney General of the United States. He gets arrested for that. Now, how are these courts trying to decipher and draw a line as to where what you say and what you post is, turns into a criminal in nature action?
So I know we've talked before about what is free speech, and I think that when you look at, what the court system has done over a long period of time, they've done everything they can to kind of, say this is where free speech ends and this is where criminal and civil liability becomes, right? And there's a bunch of cases that flesh this out. I mean, we could talk probably for hours on this subject.
Yeah.
But there are, like 9 or 10 areas where courts have kind of broken down those areas where, this is free speech, but if you do this becomes a criminal act. And, just to give you some examples, right? When you go out and you incite like a riot or you commit, criminal threats on people, written threats, so where your behavior is encouraging criminal behavior, for example, in this case, you have somebody that is, trying to put a bounty,
right.
And the standard's going to be, does an ordinary, reasonable person interpret this that way? Now, if it's a joke, say, right?
Yeah.
A person can joke, and if a reasonable person would, interpret this as a joke, then that's protected. But if a reasonable person would actually interpret this as a actual request to go out and commit a murder or a killing, then it goes over into the line of, not protected speech.
The thing that's amazing is you watch this happen whenever there's a tragedy of a high-profile murder or public attack or whatever. It's immediately, let's go do a deep dive into this person, this suspect's social media. And 9 times out of 10, there it is. They've laid out the roadmap as what their intentions are. It's just there's such a high volume of this. There's no way to keep tabs on it at all times.
It gets overlooked, yeah.
Yeah. It's unbelievable, man.
Yeah, it's happening a lot more. I mean, you see it just popping up left and right in the media, right? It's crazy how much there is right now going on. I mean, you hear about 2 or 3 stories every day popping up with this stuff.
Somebody texted in at 22526. Keep sending those questions in. Criminal law questions. Says, I lost vision in my right eye from a fight. Would I have instant fear for my life if another fight was to arise? Or, you know what I'm getting at?
So he's talking about like a stand your ground if another again, the question is tough to answer because I don't know what he's talking about. Does he have a right to pull out a gun? Is that what he's asking? Does he have a right to? I don't know exactly.
Obviously, you have a right to defend yourself.
Yeah. So obviously, if the same person who injured his eye comes up to him again in an aggressive, menacing way, then obviously he has a right to defend himself. The question is as to what scope he has a right to defend himself.
To what extent? Got it.
So, I think I would need a little bit more facts on exactly how the next interaction occurs. Mm-hmm. Now, if the guy walks up and says, hey, Good seeing you again. My bad for what happened last
You
time.
blast him. Yeah, that's an issue. You have a
Ken
little
said
issue.
it's all right.
All right, listen. Hey, thank you for answering those, Ken. 22526. You all can send these anytime during the week. We'll put them in front of him next go around. We wanted to get Ken's contact info out there, and also let you know that his firm does everything from a criminal traffic situation all the way up to first degree murder and everything in between. On the traffic side of things, if you got yourself in a little snafu there and it's an interesting situation, kind of a story that stands out, head to our website, WJR.com, the contest section there, and let them try to get you out of that ticket or that citation or whatever you got. If it stands out, you guys might be able to help out there, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, Chumley does those on Fridays, I believe.
Fix my tickets.
WJRR.com/contest. Now, if you need to get in touch with Ken directly with your criminal law question, it's Ken at smithandulo.com, EULO.com.
All right, Ken. Appreciate you coming in every Monday, giving us some insight on some of the current stories and trying our best to get the listeners some direction as well.
Absolutely. Good seeing you guys.
All right,
Thanks,
Ken.
brother.
We'll see you next week.
Lynch and Taco. On demand, download the iHeartRadio app.